Hi folks, hope you're all doing well. This is my reaction to the opening match of the 2022 Six Nations, Ireland against Wales. Ireland 29, Wales 7. Ireland thoroughly deserved to win this game as they did. They came away with maximum points, which they fully deserved, and Wales looked absolutely rudderless. Ireland's dominance in the match really started very early on with Mack Hansen making a great break down the left-hand side and kicking it in behind in the Welsh 22 to put Wales under pressure. It eventually resulted in Ireland putting more pressure on Wales, getting the ball, and then Mack Hansen put a lovely looping pass over to Bundee Aki on the left wing, and Bundee Aki went over to score the opening try. Ireland really should have been further than 10-0 in front at half-time. Johnny Sexton missed a couple of pretty easy kicks by his standards, but he did kick one in front of the post. And I think what was lacking from Ireland a bit was, at times I felt they were a bit too safe in their carrying, and there was a few times as well where maybe just the final movement from whoever was in the back line, the angles of running, or the final pass just wasn't quite there to finish off all that pressure and dominance they had in the first half. The Wales did start to come back into it a bit more towards the end of the first half, but overall Ireland still dominated and should have been further than 10-0 in front. They made sure of their domination in the second half, Ireland. 2 tries from Andrew Conway, which has to be said, that first one was a very poor piece of defending from Johnny McNicholl. He was very narrow, came across too late to try and stop Conway. It was a try because Andrew Conway did ground it just short, but in the same movement, it just went slightly forward. It was very marginal, but I think it was a fair try and no complaints. The second try was just a very well worked move by Ireland. I don't think it was entirely McNicholl's fault this time because he was just on his own on the blind side on the left wing. It was other defenders of Wales should have come across quicker. They were far too slow and just left Andrew Conway with a very easy try to score. And then Gary Ringrose sealed the bonus point when play broke up and Ireland got the ball out, and Ringrose put some fabulous footwork ran a great line and went in to score on the right hand side. Again, beating some poor Welsh tackling, it has to be said. There was a couple of tackles, especially that last one by Liam Williams, where you think they should have done better there. But Wales did get a try after a bit of sloppy play from Tadhg Beirne, who apart from this had an excellent game as well. He passed it and made a reckless offload in his own 22, and Taine Basham, who was one of Wales's shining lights in the game, intercepted and ran in to score under the post, and it finished 29-7. As I said, overall Ireland fully deserved this, probably should have won by more because they were that dominant. Wales, on the other hand, really looked, as I said, rudderless with and without the ball. There were times I could see what they were trying to do with the ball, but it just didn't pay off. Their execution was sloppy, and Josh Adams at centre just didn't work at all. I wouldn't be surprised if Wayne Pivac does just put him back into the left wing for the match against Scotland because he looked really out of sorts. I think Ireland had their moments where they did target him and it worked, and then I don't know if this was frustration or stupidity. It was definitely a combination of both when Josh Adams took out Johnny Sexton. It can be argued he was lucky not to get a red card there. It was definitely a yellow card because he had no intention of going for the ball when he did. He was far away from the ball, and then he just went for a cheap shot on Sexton, and if it had been a couple of inches higher and he actually had caught Sexton anywhere above the chin, it would have definitely been a red card. So that's where you consider lucky, because he caught him just slightly below the chin. So I think a yellow card was fair enough at least. So no complaints there. And yeah, I think Ireland can be very confident going into the next week's game against France. I think it's the first real time in a while that Ireland have opened the championship very dominant, and they've gone in full of confidence. They've carried on the momentum from their fantastic autumn series and are looking very good. Whether you can say they're the championship favourites or not, I think there's still a long way to go, and it's very early days to call it, but it's a good start for Ireland. They fully deserved this win. They'll be a threat to any team in the championship. They look like they've got a very good balance with their play as well, whereas like last couple of years, I think they can be looked like it would be criticised for being a bit too conservative at times. And there were times in the first half when they had all that dominance, I thought they were a bit too conservative. But in the second half, they really got it right. As I said, I think Wales didn't help themselves in defence. But I think overall, Ireland should be given the credit they deserve for how they mixed it up very well in attack for pretty much the whole game, especially in the second half. So that's all I've got to say here, folks. Well done to Ireland. I know this reaction is a bit late, but hope you appreciate what I had to say. Thank you for listening. Take care, and I'll catch you later on.